All worlds begin with Demon Slayer. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351, Bai Yu's reason. Captain, I want to hear the reason. Why? She is a ghost. Hattori Kyujo asked Bai Yu in disbelief. Captain Bai Yu, although I respect you very much, I also want to know why. Sakata Seiichiro also took the opportunity to follow Hattori Kyujo to ask. Inao Kenta was relatively accepting of Nezuko. He just pushed his glasses and said, the captain naturally has his reasons. I don't think there is anything to ask. The brothers Murata Shinichi and Murata Shinji did not intend to delve into it, so they did not say anything. Brother Baimeo, you are here too. Everyone is awake. In that case, come with me to lift the train. At this time, Inosuke, who came to seek help, greeted everyone. When everyone heard what Inosuke said, they were also a little confused. Lift the train? Why lift the train? When Bai Yu saw Inosuke appear, he ignored him for the time being, but said to Hattori Kyujo and Sakata Seiichiro, reason, right. Why is that right? It's because when you were hit by the blood demon out of one of the lower strings and fell into a deep sleep, it was Nezuko who protected you. Is this reason enough? After that, Bai Yu no longer paid attention to the two of them, but asked Inosuke, what's the matter? What do you mean by lifting the train? Just as Bai Yu's voice fell, a huge noise was transmitted to the carriage, where Bai Yu was. Immediately, Bai Yu saw a sense of oppression coming from outside. Bai Yu's face suddenly changed, and he said, not good, there is danger outside. Zenitsu, take Nezuko, let's go out and take a look. After that, Bai Yu was the first to rush out of the carriage. Inosuke also felt something was wrong, so he hurriedly followed. Agatsuma Zenitsu picked up the mist spruce wooden box on the seat of the carriage, then opened the door of the wooden box and motioned to Nezuko. Nezuko, come in quickly. We have to go out with Shiraha-senpai to check the situation. Even if Shiraha-senpai didn't say it, Agatsuma Zenitsu would still take Nezuko with him, because Agatsuma Zenitsu was worried about Nezuko staying with the people from Team 2. Nezuko's figure immediately changed into that of a 3-year-old child, and then she jumped into the mist spruce wooden box. Agatsuma Zenitsu immediately closed the wooden box, then put it on his back, and finally chased after them. Soon, only 4 people from Team Zangetsu's second team were left in the carriage. Murata Shinji was a little overwhelmed and said, is Senior Shiraha ignoring us like this? Brother. Senior Shiraha was obviously angry just now. Murata Shinichi said to his younger brother, I think Nezuko is the Achilles heel of Senior Bai Yu. No matter who the opponent is, he will die if he is touched. So there is no need for us to be hard on Nezuko. Just look at Zenitsu and Inosuke, isn't that the case? So Vice Captain Kyujo, Seiichiro, you two don't need to be so serious. Murata Shinichi took this opportunity to help Bai Yu play the good cop, because Murata Shinichi didn't want the atmosphere in the team to be too stiff because of this incident. So he came out to smooth things over and help Bai Yu maintain his relationship with the team. Let's go out and see the situation. Murata Shinichi then said to Hattori Kyujo and gave her a way out. Hattori Kyujo was not a stubborn person, so she followed Murata Shinichi's steps down the stage and then once again ordered as the captain of the second team, let's go. Chapter 352, Upper 3. After a loud noise of an object hitting the ground, a figure squatted 10 meters in front of Tanjiro and Rengoku Kyojiro. Through the light from the train carriage, it can be seen that it is a man with short red hair, wearing a small vest on the upper body and loose trousers on the lower body. There are black patterns made up of stripes on his face and body, similar to tattoos, but much more monotonous and simple than tattoos. Where the red-haired man squatted, the ground around him was centered, with cracks and a few centimeters of depression. Obviously, the movement just now was caused by him. After the red-haired man appeared, he did not talk to Tanjiro and Rengoku Kyojiro, but suddenly stomped his feet and rushed towards Tanjiro who was lying on the ground. The red-haired man was very fast. Tanjiro, who was lying on the ground, only felt the ground shake slightly, and then saw that the red-haired man had come out in front of him, and his fist had already hit his head. Because the red-haired man was very low, in order to attack Tanjiro who was lying on the ground, Tanjiro was only 2 fists away from the red-haired man, which can be said to be very close. With such a close gaze, Tanjiro soon saw the 3 words upper rank and 3 on the pupils of the red-haired man's eyes. These 3 words were on each of his eyes. Although Tanjiro could already tell from his breath that the red-haired man in front of him was a demon, Tanjiro did not expect that he would be an upper rank demon among the 12 demon moons. The lower rank demons had already made Tanjiro somewhat exhausted, so how terrifying would this upper rank demon be? Exclamation mark. Breathing of flame, second form, flame rising. Breathing of flame, second form, flame rising. This move is a half moon slash from bottom to top, and an extremely sharp half moon shaped arc of flames will be formed in the process. Rengoku Kajiro's reaction was no less than that of upper rank 3, and he had a very precise timing when he drew his sword. When upper rank 3's fist was about to fall, Rengoku Kajiro's red sun blade with flame patterns chopped down upper rank 3's fist from top to bottom. The hand that upper rank 3 used to punch was also lifted up by Rengoku Kajiro's upward strike, and at the same time, the sharp half moon flame arc easily split upper rank 3's arm, splitting it in half at the forearm, like a snake's tongue. After upper rank 3 knew that his attack had failed, he did not immediately choose to counterattack, but instead pulled his body back suddenly, and then temporarily kept a distance from Rengoku Kajiro. As soon as upper rank 3 stood still, the arm that was split by Rengoku Kajiro had healed back, as if Rengoku Kajiro had not attacked him just now. Upper rank 3 licked the blood that flowed out of his arm as soon as the wound occurred. Although upper string 3 could choose to absorb the blood, it chose to lick it with its mouth in order to appear more bloody. The knife is good. The knife skills are also quite sharp. After licking the blood that flowed out of it, upper string 3 praised Rengoku Kajiro's knife skills. Your regeneration speed is also very fast. This kind of oppressive and gloomy feeling is worthy of being an upper string among the 12 demon moons. I have experienced it. However, I can't understand why you attack the injured first. Rengoku Kajiro responded to the praise of upper string 3. Chapter 353, The Upper 3's Attraction. Because he must die, then no one can interfere with my conversation with you. Upper string 3 immediately replied to Rengoku Kajiro. Hearing this, Rengoku Kajiro was a little surprised. He couldn't understand what a ghost could say to him. What was there to say? Immediately, Rengoku Kajiro asked, "Oh, what do you want to talk to me about? Although this is our first meeting, I have begun to hate you." Really? I also hate the weak. When I see a weak person, I can't help but kill him, just like the little ghost lying on the ground. Upper string 3 pointed at Tanjiro lying on the ground and said with a disgusted tone, "It seems that there should be nothing to talk about between us, because our values are exactly opposite." Rengoku Kajiro hated upper string 3 even more, because Rengoku Kajiro was disgusted with the behavior of wantonly trampling on the weak. "You are a pillar, right? I can feel the power of your aura. Because of your strength, your aura has been tempered for a long time. Although it is close to the supreme realm, it has not set foot in this realm. I have a suggestion that can help you set foot in that realm. Do you want to know?" The upper rank 3 was not in a hurry to attack at this time, but talked with Rengoku Kajiro. "You, ghost, still know the way of practice? How ridiculous." Rengoku Kajiro couldn't help but laugh when he heard that the upper rank 3 wanted to guide him in practice. Rengoku Kajiro's ridicule did not make upper string 3 angry. Instead, he continued to say to Rengoku Kajiro, "Let me tell you why you have not been able to enter the supreme realm yet." As he said that, upper string 3 pointed at Rengoku Kajiro and said, "Because you are a human, you will grow old, get sick and die, and your body's functions and potential will become worse day by day. The human body limits your growth. Become a ghost, like me. In this way, no matter how time changes, you can continue to become stronger." Finally, upper string 3 also stated his purpose. Because upper string 3 admired Rengoku Kajiro very much, he had the idea of dragging Rengoku Kajiro into the water. In this way, Rengoku Kaijiro and it are of the same kind. Don't joke. The best thing in life is to experience the ups and downs of the world in a limited time and finally leave the world with those beautiful experiences. Rengoku Kaijiro was not bewitched by the words of upper string 3, but refuted the crooked logic of upper string 3. Becoming a demon to make yourself stronger is just a side job. No matter what the reason is, I will not become a demon. This is my principle. In the end, Rengoku Kaijiro rejected the proposal of upper rank 3 with righteous words. Really? Upper rank 3's eyes suddenly narrowed slightly, and then he immediately took a fighting stance and launched his own fighting blood demon art. Art of deployment. Shattering needle. Upper rank 3's blood demon art is not as fancy as other lower rank demons. It is just a very simple physical fighting style. Because of its simplicity, it is also very practical and fierce. Shattering needle. This art is the core skill of upper rank 3 and is also a state perception skill. It does not have an attack effect. Chapter 354. Breaking the killing needle. Although Shapyo does not have an attack effect, it can help upper rank 3 sense the opponent's movements. After Shapyo is activated, a snowflake-shaped compass will appear under upper rank 3's feet, and the compass sensing diameter is 5 meters. In other words, as long as the opponent enters the range of the snowflake compass formation, upper rank 3 can use Shapyo to sense the fluctuations of the opponent's breath and make its own attacks and dodges as accurate as the attraction of like magnets and the repulsion of opposite magnets. Because it senses a breath, as long as you don't let your breath overflow, you can make Shapyo ineffective. However, in order to prevent your breath from overflowing in battle, you must master a high-level skill called Transparent World. As for how difficult it is to master Transparent World, even the current flame pillar Rengoku Kaijiro has not yet mastered this high-level skill. As for Bai Yu, it is not to mention that, although Bai Yu's breathing has reached the realm of the ultimate mystery under the improvement of the superdimensional crossing system, without the blessing of the Transparent World, Bai Yu still cannot completely hide his breath during the battle. At the same time, the Transparent World is also what Bai Yu needs to master in order to become stronger, because only by mastering the Transparent World can all the power of the breath of the ultimate mystery be completely squeezed out. If you don't accept it, I will kill you. The upper third also made a harsh remark to Rengoku Kaijiro, and then he wanted to fight Rengoku Kaijiro. The next second, Rengoku Kaijiro and the upper third moved at the same time, and the figures of the two disappeared from the spot at once, and turned into two blurred after images, and violently collided with each other. Tanjiro, lying on the ground, could not capture the details with his vision at all. The contest between the pillar and the upper string was as fast as lightning. All Tanjiro could see were two black shadows flashing constantly, and there were dense flames and sword lights in the air. Those flames and sword lights were actually the slashes launched by Rengoku Kaijiro against upper rank 3. Just as Tanjiro was watching the fierce battle between Rengoku Kaijiro and upper rank 3, a black shadow suddenly appeared in front of Tanjiro. It was a very burly and tall man, with a strong ghost smell on his body. And this strong ghost smell was no less than that of the lower rank 5 encountered in Spider Mountain. While Tanjiro was shocked, the burly ghost who appeared in front of Tanjiro had already punched Tanjiro's head. At this time, Tanjiro was unable to react in time because of excessive blood loss, and the sudden attack made Tanjiro unable to defend himself. Rengoku Kaijiro also noticed the change on Tanjiro's side and immediately looked back and then shouted, "Tanjiro." It was precisely because of Rengoku Kaijiro's distraction that upper string 3 seized the opportunity and took advantage of this gap to suddenly attack Rengoku Kaijiro and then punched Rengoku Kaijiro's stomach hard, knocking Rengoku Kaijiro out. Although you are a pillar, you can't be distracted when fighting with me because you will die. Upper string 3 also stood still, looking at Rengoku Kaijiro who was knocked out by him, and said lightly, Chapter 355, Lower Moon Second. When Tanjiro was facing a critical moment and Rengoku Kaijiro was unable to stop it, the arm of the fist that was about to hit Tanjiro on the forehead suddenly broke. It seemed to be cut by something sharp, and the wound was unusually smooth. The whole arm of the ghost, who took the opportunity to attack Tanjiro, was inexplicably cut off. Tanjiro was shocked and immediately thought of Bai Yu. Only Bai Yu could attack the enemy without getting close to the enemy. In addition to Bai Yu, Tanjiro couldn't think of anyone else who could save him in such a situation. Then, Tanjiro saw another figure appear in front of him. Judging from the back and hair color, Tanjiro knew that the person who appeared was Bai Yu, and Tanjiro's heart was relieved. After Bai Yu appeared in front of Tanjiro, he grabbed the ghost's neck and then swung it violently, throwing it in one direction. Inosuke, I'll leave this lower string 2 to you and the people of Team 2. Zenitsu, come quickly and take Tanjiro to a safe place. Then, Bai Yu heard a series of instructions. The demon who attacked Tanjiro was also commissioned by Muzan Kibutsuji to come and seek Tanjiro's life. Originally, as long as the lower string 1 succeeded, there would naturally be no lower string 2 and upper string 3. However, the plan of the lower string 1 not only failed, but also died in the hands of the Demon Slayer Corps. Therefore, upper string 3 and lower string 2 had to clean up the mess for the lower string 1. The death of the lower string 1 was indeed very aggrieved, because it merged with the train, so it also lost the opportunity to escape. Secondly, the blood demon art did not play a particularly effective effect, which made it a huge live target. After Rengoku Kaijiro was knocked out by the upper string 3, he rolled on the ground, and then used the inertia of the rolling to touch the ground with one hand, and then propped himself up. However, this still couldn't stop Rengoku Kaijiro, so he could only touch the ground with one hand, and then put his legs in a bow step to unload the force of upper string 3's attack on him to the ground. Rengoku Kaijiro continued to slide for a few meters in this posture, and then stopped. As soon as his body stopped, a trace of blood flowed from the corner of Rengoku Kaijiro's mouth. Obviously, the attack of upper string 3 still caused him damage. Although Rengoku Kaijiro was hit, after seeing Bai Yu come out to help Tanjiro out, Rengoku Kaijiro's anxious and nervous expression was replaced by a smile. At the same time, lower string 2 had also fallen to the ground, and then rolled to stand up. Inosuke had already drawn his 2 sunblades and excitedly rushed towards the burly lower string 2. The lower string 2 looked back at Bai Yu with murderous intent, then looked back at Inosuke who was rushing towards him, and immediately roared in anger, "You're looking for death." After that, the lower string 2's broken arm that was cut off by Bai Yu suddenly grew back. Then when Inosuke jumped up from the air and was about to attack the lower string 2, the lower string 2 swiftly punched at the Nichiren sword that Inosuke was about to swing at, and Inosuke was blown away with the sword. Chapter 356 The Divided Battlefield. Although the lower string 2 is also mainly physical melee combat, the strength of the lower string 2 is not much stronger than the muscle ghost. The difference between the two in terms of strength is not very large. However, in other aspects, the muscle ghost is not on the same level as the lower string 2. The most intuitive feeling is the reaction and recovery. The lower string 2, like the upper string 3, is a ghost who has learned martial arts, which is even more incomparable to the muscle ghost. After being hit by the lower string 2, the edge of Inosuke's Nichiren blade only broke a few serrations, but fortunately the blade did not break. The reason why Inosuke's Nichiren blade broke a few serrations is that on the fist of the lower string 2, the key part of his palm has evolved some hard bone spurs, and these bone spurs are its deadly weapons in battle. Immediately, Inosuke felt a paralysis in his arms, and then the whole person flew backwards, and finally was caught by the brothers Murata Shinichi and Murata Shinji who came and released a wind wall together. Inosuke hit the wind wall, buffering most of the force, and then fell down. Inosuke stood up again from a squatting position. This time, Inosuke did not rush up immediately, because the lower string number 2 on the opposite side had already taken a fighting stance against Inosuke, and was obviously ready to fight. From the posture, Inosuke knew that the lower string number 2 in front of him was not a simple-minded guy who only used brute force. The brothers Shinichi and Shinji came to Inosuke at once and asked, "Inosuke, are you okay?" Inosuke shook his head and said, "Nothing." Although Inosuke said that he was fine, Murata Shinji noticed that Inosuke's hands were shaking slightly. While Inosuke attracted the attention of the lower string number 2, Agatsuma Zenitsu had sneaked to Tanjiro's side, helped him up, and finally moved to a relatively safe place to hide. Before leaving, Zenitsu Agatsuma did not forget to say to Bai Yu, "Senior Bai Yu, be careful." Bai Yu's appearance also attracted the attention of upper string 3. Soon, its attention was focused on Bai Yu, and it showed a meaningful smile to Bai Yu, saying, "Another powerful ghost hunter. It seems that he is also a pillar. Are you planning to fight 2 against 1? Will this bully me a little? To deal with you, you don't need 2 people," Bai Yu said without any politeness. Hearing this, upper string 3 smiled even more playfully, and then said, "You are so arrogant. You are really not humble at all. This is really unpleasant. That's good. I don't want a man to like me," Bai Yu also said stubbornly. "Slippery little devil." Upper string 3 didn't want to talk to a slippery person like Bai Yu, so he took the initiative to attack Bai Yu. And Rengoku Kaijiro didn't mean to cooperate with Bai Yu. After Bai Yu took over the battle, Rengoku Kaijiro chose to wait and see. On the one hand, he could see Bai Yu's methods and strength, and on the other hand, he could relieve his injuries. On the other hand, 6 people, led by the Takor fighters Inosuke and Hattori Kyujo, also started a battle with the lower moon too, and the battlefield was divided into 2 parts. Chapter 357, Bai Yu vs. Upper 3. As for Inosuke, the 6 people have surrounded the lower string 2. The surrounded lower string 2 was not panicked at all, and kept alert to Inosuke, Hattori Kyujo, Murata Shinichi, Murata Shinji, Sakata Seiichiro, and Inao Kenta. Seeing that Inosuke and others had no intention of launching an attack, the lower string 2 looked around the surrounding environment again, and then it felt that it was not a wise choice to fight with so many ghost hunters in an open environment, so the lower string 2 took a lifelong leap and sank into the woods outside the railway track. Seeing this, Inosuke immediately cursed, "God damn it, don't run." After cursing, Inosuke chased after the lower string 2. The other 4 looked at Hattori Kyujo, as if they were all waiting for Hattori Kyujo's order. They were different from Inosuke. Inosuke was a member of Team 1. Bai Yu also told them that the members of Team 1 were more suitable for single combat, while Team 2 needed team action to make up for the shortcomings of the lack of strength of single members. The most important thing is that this time they are facing the lower 2 of the 12 Kizuki. The 4 of them know that they have not mastered the full concentration normal state and do not have the ability to face the 12 Kizuki alone. Hattori Kyujo immediately ordered, "Follow up." Then, the 5 members of the Zangetsu, Team 2, led by Hattori Kyujo, chased after them. Although Bai Yu has been fighting fiercely with the upper 3, Bai Yu still noticed the situation on Inosuke's side. In this situation, where the enemy is in the dark, and we are in the light, Bai Yu is really a little worried. If there is an ambush, then Inosuke and the people of the Zangetsu, Team 2 are probably in danger. Before Bai Yu can speak, Rengoku Kaijiro, who also noticed this, said to Bai Yu, "Brother Bai Yu, I leave this to you. I'll go over and take a look." After that, Rengoku Kaijiro also chased into the woods. The upper string 3 saw that Bai Yu seemed to be testing him and did not show his true strength. The upper string 3 was also tired of playing take eye, so he provoked Bai Yu. "Little ghost, is this all you can do? You can't kill me like this." Bai Yu was not provoked by the upper string 3, because the upper string 3's precise avoidance made Bai Yu aware of a little abnormality, so Bai Yu did not blindly launch a move. Seeing that Bai Yu ignored him, the upper string 3 couldn't help but think that Bai Yu might want to fight a war of attrition with him. But he is a ghost. He will not get tired at all. This guy can't not know it. Finally, the upper string 3 finally couldn't stand it anymore and took the initiative to launch a fierce move against Bai Yu. Pyoshacheo style. Pyoshacheo style. This move is a multiple bombardment move that focuses on one point, and each blow can be accompanied by a powerful shockwave. I saw that the upper string 3 suddenly joined his waist and horse, and then launched an extremely intensive and fierce punch at the chest of Bai Yu in front of him. At the same time, Bai Yu also launched his own water battle slashing chain to deal with the attack of upper rank 3. Then, the dense slashing and dense punching collided with each other, and the air around both sides suddenly appeared with ripples, and then those ripples formed huge energy, which kept spreading in all directions. Nagatsuma Zenitsu hid behind a carriage and peeked out. Seeing such a posture, his nerves tensed up, and he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It's really a fight between gods. There is no possibility of intervening or getting close. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358 Mutual Taunting. Because of such a fierce fight, neither Bai Yu nor upper rank 3 dared to withdraw their moves easily, because once they withdraw their moves, they would give the other party a chance and then face the other party's fierce attack. In the fight, Bai Yu's demon slashing sword did not hit upper rank 3. This is because every punch of upper rank 3 will release energy around it, and Bai Yu's blade will cut on those energies, and it cannot cut through that energy to hit lower rank 3's fist. Even if Bai Yu cuts upper rank 3's fist, it will not have any effect on upper rank 3. Even if Bai Yu's demon slashing sword can suppress upper rank 3's recovery, as long as the wound is not serious, the suppressing effect of the demon slashing sword will not affect upper rank 3. Unless Bai Yu can cut off one of upper rank 3's hands or feet, or cut it in half, causing injuries that affect upper rank 3's battle, only then can we realize how critical the suppressing effect of the demon slashing sword is. Even if it is only suppressed for 1 second, Bai Yu can seize this second of opportunity and launch a fatal blow to upper rank 3. Little brat, you are really powerful. It seems that you are more powerful than the pillar wearing a white robe with fire patterns just now. Let me think. That guy uses the breath of fire, so he should be the flame pillar. You use the breath of water, and you are wearing a blue robe with water patterns, so you should be the water pillar. I have killed pillars before, but you still give me the feeling of being powerful. At this time, the third upper string actually praised Bai Yu when he was fighting against him, as if such an attack intensity did not make him feel overwhelmed. Why don't you join us? Becoming a ghost can gain eternal life, and then we can fight endlessly. There is no need to be afraid of death. Immediately, the third upper string also began to try to win over Bai Yu, but Bai Yu would definitely not go along with the ghost. Bai Yu was too lazy to pay attention to the third upper string, but concentrated on waving his demon slaying sword. At this time, Bai Yu was still maintaining the state of the water surface slashing and continuous slashing moves. With the blessing of the final secret breath, Bai Yu had no problem holding on for 10 seconds. When upper rank 3 saw Bai Yu ignoring him, he thought that Bai Yu no longer had the energy to answer him, so he taunted him. Are you unable to do it? You don't even have the ability to speak. It seems that you are not good enough. I say, why are you so silly? You keep talking all the time. Do you think it's great to speak during a battle? Do you want me to show you how to eat an apple with one hand? Bai Yu suddenly replied at this time. Bai Yu said this deliberately, to anger upper rank 3. After all, upper rank 3 just mocked him, so Bai Yu naturally had to give a verbal fight back. After saying that, Bai Yu stretched out the hand that was free and had nothing to do and waved at upper rank 3. If he didn't have an apple on him, Bai Yu really wanted to eat one to show it. Seeing this, upper rank 3 was immediately angry at Bai Yu's behavior. Because Bai Yu had been fighting with upper rank 3 with one hand, while upper rank 3 used both fists, Bai Yu's behavior was a disguised mockery of upper rank 3 as trash. In a rage, upper rank 3 immediately changed his moves. Shattering and destroying style. Chapter 359 Bai Yu's injury. Shattering and destruction style. Upper rank 3 launches a devastating punch at a single target. It is a single target burst skill, and does not have an AoE effect. Any target hit will either die or be disabled, and the opponent will lose combat effectiveness instantly. Therefore, if Bai Yu wants to resist, he must activate the ghost transformation. Otherwise, with Bai Yu's normal physical strength, he will not be able to withstand it. However, Bai Yu is naturally impossible to resist the attack of upper rank 3 stupidly, but just chooses to pull away, to dodge upper rank 3's shattering and destruction style. Obviously, it is impossible when both parties are very close. Therefore, Bai Yu can only change his moves and use moves to resist upper rank 3's fighting skills. Wood breathing. Form 1. Wood invasion stab. Immediately, Bai Yu's demon slayer sword and upper rank 3's fist collided with each other. Even so, upper rank 3 had no intention of retracting his attack. He just wanted to fight with Bai Yu. The reason why upper rank 3 dared to make such a choice was that he relied on his powerful healing and recovery ability as a demon. Therefore, even if Bai Yu cut off one of its hands, it would not have any effect on him at all. On the contrary, as long as it injured Bai Yu, it would affect Bai Yu's combat effectiveness. In this way, the entire blade of Bai Yu's Demon Slayer sword pierced into upper rank 3's entire arm. It felt like upper rank 3's arm was used as a scabbard. Explode. Bai Yu shouted loudly, and then upper rank 3's entire arm expanded rapidly, and then exploded into pieces of meat. However, upper rank 3's shattering destruction style had already been used. Although the power had not been completely released, the explosion at that moment still blasted Bai Yu away. Similarly, upper string 3 also flew backwards. The collision of these moves finally changed the stalemate. Bai Yu and upper string 3 were both injured. This was the first time Bai Yu was injured in battle. Bai Yu's injury was that when he used the knife just now, his right arm had a serious injury at the wrist joint, and his forearm was also fractured. Bai Yu stood up again, and the demon slaying sword in his hand suddenly fell to the ground. Bai Yu looked down at the demon slaying sword that fell to the ground, and also looked at his right hand, that could no longer use force. At this time, Bai Yu's expression was very solemn. After seeing the strength of the upper string demon, Bai Yu had to admit that the upper string and the lower string were two different levels of existence. However, Bai Yu immediately used the breath of wood to recover and relieve the injury on his arm. Although the recovery speed was not as exaggerated as that of the demon, it at least made him feel better. Upper rank 3 also covered the wound on his broken arm, and then tried to regenerate a new arm, but it was very difficult, as if there was some force preventing it. Upper rank 3 couldn't help but look a little panicked. This was actually Bai Yu's wood essence at work, because in the previous attack, a large amount of wood essence instantly poured into upper rank 3's arm, and then destroyed upper rank 3's cells, so the arm could not withstand the damage and exploded. At this time, there must be some residue of wood essence on the wound of upper rank 3's broken arm. If the wood essence is not eliminated, upper rank 3's arm will not regenerate easily. Although the regeneration of the arm was affected, upper rank 3's psychological quality was extremely high, and he did not lose his composure at all. Chapter 360, at a disadvantage. He upper string 3 covered the wound on his broken arm, then chuckled to Bai Yu and said, "You can't even hold the knife steadily, how are you going to fight me next?" After that, upper string 3's chuckle immediately turned into a wild laugh. This time, Bai Yu did not make any response, but silently picked up the Demon Slayer sword on the ground with his left hand, then held it tightly in his hand, and pointed the blade directly at upper string 3. Bai Yu's behavior was undoubtedly the best response to upper string 3's ridicule. If your right hand is injured, you can still beat you with the knife in your left hand. When upper string 3 saw Bai Yu's actions, he laughed even more wildly and said, "I actually forgot that you still have one hand to use. In this case, I will cripple your other hand too." After that, upper string 3 roared, and then tried hard to regenerate its broken arm. Upper string 3 spent a lot of effort to regenerate the broken arm. Immediately after the broken arm regenerated, upper string 3 took the initiative to launch a new round of attack towards Bai Yu. Because Bai Yu's right arm was injured, this was a good opportunity for upper string 3 to win, so upper string 3 fought more actively. When Bai Yu saw upper string 3 approaching him, he jumped back to distance himself, but when Bai Yu jumped, upper string 3 took the opportunity of Bai Yu's body being in the air, and launched his fighting blood demon technique against Bai Yu again. Breaking the killing air style. Breaking the killing air style. Use your fist to blast the air 6 times in a row, and the air will be blown up by upper string 3, producing a powerful air bomb. It is a long range move with an effective distance of 20 meters. Bai Yu had already felt the abnormality of the air around him, and the Demon Slayer sword held in his left hand turned in the palm of his hand at the first time, and Bai Yu inserted the Demon Slayer sword into the scabbard with his backhand, and then Bai Yu twitched the Demon Slayer sword that was inserted back into the scabbard again. Water breathing. Form 12, Dark Blade Strangling. At the same time as the air around Bai Yu exploded, a large amount of dense water blade sword energy appeared around Bai Yu, which well resisted the impact of the explosion. However, the air shock of the explosion still affected Bai Yu's balance when he landed. Bai Yu simply corrected his balance by tapping the ground quickly. The upper string 3 was an experienced upper string demon. Seeing Bai Yu lose balance, he immediately seized the opportunity and launched a fierce pursuit of Bai Yu. Breaking kill shattering style. 10,000 leaves flashing willow. Breaking kill shattering style. 10,000 leaves flashing willow. The upper string 3 jumped up and punched the target or the ground from top to bottom. If the target was a living being, the blood vessels near the hit part of the attacker would explode. If the target was the ground, the strong impact would cause a slight collapse in the ground with a direct range of 3 meters, and cracks similar to the veins of leaves would appear on the ground. The upper string 3 knew that the probability of hitting Bai Yu with this attack was extremely low, so it did not deliberately hit Bai Yu, but instead blasted the ground under Bai Yu's feet. Then, the ground under Bai Yu's feet sank slightly, and cracks like leaf veins appeared. Because of the sudden sinking of the ground and the violent vibration caused by the upper string 3's blast, Bai Yu's balance was further affected. Bai Yu's body tilted more severely, and then he fell to the ground. Chapter 361 Zenitsu's concerns. It's over. Senior Bai Yu seems to be at a disadvantage. Senior Bai Yu is likely to lose. Nagatsuma Zenitsu, who was hiding behind the train car to peek at the battle situation, suddenly started to mutter in a panic. Tanjiro was also hiding behind the car as a cover like Nagatsuma Zenitsu at this time, watching the battle between Bai Yu and upper rank 3. Tanjiro was a little surprised to see Bai Yu at a disadvantage, because Bai Yu had almost always won by crushing him before, so this was the first time he was at a disadvantage in front of upper rank 3, which made Tanjiro a little bit unbelievable and unacceptable. The reason why Bai Yu was at a disadvantage was not that Bai Yu was not strong enough, because the strength of the upper rank demon was really not comparable to that of the lower rank demon, and the upper rank 3 was also an upper rank demon who used fighting skills, so his fighting skills were naturally very outstanding, so Bai Yu could not take advantage of the upper rank 3 in close combat. However, Tanjiro did not think that Bai Yu would lose, because Bai Yu gave Tanjiro the feeling that he could not be defeated, no matter how powerful the enemy was. Zenitsu, let's go and help Bai Yu senpai. Tanjiro had the idea of going up to help Bai Yu at this time. Hearing this, Agatsuma Zenitsu held Tanjiro down and scolded him. Tanjiro, your brain has been damaged by a woman's butt, right? In a battle where even Bai Yu senpai can't gain the upper hand, wouldn't it be a mess if we go up and die? Tanjiro understood what Agatsuma Zenitsu said very well, but Tanjiro's mind was still filled with the idea of going up to help. Tanjiro didn't want to be a spectator, so he said, then we have to do something. Hearing this, Agatsuma Zenitsu thought for a while, and had already prepared for the worst, so he said, then let's organize the evacuation of the people on this train. Agatsuma Zenitsu said this because he had anticipated that Hakuba might not be able to defeat upper rank 3. If Hakuba couldn't beat upper rank 3, then he would definitely have to retreat tactically. Agatsuma Zenitsu and Tanjiro would naturally have to retreat together. In this case, if the large number of survivors on the train were not organized to evacuate in advance, then when Hakuba couldn't hold on, there would be no time and ability to take care of them. In this case, those who were left behind would naturally become the targets of the ghost. However, Tanjiro did not understand the meaning of the words, so he asked, retreat? Why retreat? Tanjiro, I think your mother must have squeezed too hard when she gave birth to you. Haven't you ever thought about what we should do if Bai Yu Senior can't beat this red-haired ghost? Agatsuma Zenitsu complained with a look of disappointment. Hearing this, Tanjiro shook his head, because Bai Yu was undefeated in Tanjiro's heart, so Tanjiro had never thought about this problem. If Bai Yu can't beat this red-haired ghost, then he will have to evacuate tactically. We can't just give him a life for nothing. So we have to take the passengers on the train and evacuate to a safe place first, so that Bai Yu can retreat with peace of mind. Agatsuma Zenitsu had to take a deep breath, resisting the urge to yell at Tanjiro, and then clearly told Tanjiro about this possible situation and what he should do to deal with it. Chapter 362, Reversal of Situation. After listening to Zenitsu's story, Tanjiro also felt that it made some sense. Although Tanjiro believed that Bai Yu would not be defeated, Tanjiro still felt that it was a wise choice to evacuate the passengers on the train from the battlefield first. Then let's act quickly. Tanjiro was immediately like a chicken blood, and he couldn't wait. Nagatsuma's Zenitsu saw that Tanjiro had no intention of joining the battle, so he breathed a sigh of relief, and then he and Tanjiro organized the evacuation of the passengers. On the other side, after Bai Yu fell to the ground, he quickly rolled up. This roll was deliberately done by Bai Yu. With the help of the inertia of the roll, Bai Yu slapped the ground with his left hand, and the whole person took off into the air. At the same time, his body was still in the inertia of the flip, rotating 360 degrees, but the upper string 3 stuck to Bai Yu tightly, and when Bai Yu took the next step, he raided Bai Yu again. The upper rank 3 suddenly bent down and touched the ground with both hands, as if he was going to do a somersault, but he did not do a somersault. Instead, he turned around at his waist and kicked the turning Bai Yu, breaking kill kick style, crown first cut. The upper rank 3 kicked very high and aimed at Bai Yu's vitals. If Bai Yu was kicked by this kick, his neck would definitely be broken. Water breathing, second form, water wheel. With the help of the body flip, Bai Yu directly used water breathing, second form water wheel. With the blessing of the final secret breath, the circular water blade cut out by the water wheel had the effect of amplifying radiation. This effect is very similar to Tanjiro's Fire God music dance below ocean. The water wheel attack instantly cut the upper rank 3's raised leg and cut it off. After using the water wheel, Bai Yu's figure rolled more violently in the air. Then Bai Yu took the opportunity to stab the demon slaying sword into the ground and took advantage of the situation to hold the handle of the sword in reverse. Then, with the help of the fulcrum he created, he touched the ground with one knee and squatted on the ground to stabilize his figure. As soon as he stabilized his figure, Bai Yu's figure rioted again. This time, it was Bai Yu's turn to take the initiative to meet the upper string 3. Because the upper string 3 had one leg cut off by his attack at this time, Bai Yu had to seize the opportunity when the upper string 3's broken leg had not recovered and counterattack. The upper string 3, whose legs were cut off, originally wanted to regenerate the broken legs immediately, but an unexpected situation occurred again. The upper string 3 could not regenerate his broken legs immediately, but soon regained his calm from the surprise. The upper string 3 immediately rolled on the ground, and then temporarily distanced himself from Bai Yu by jumping on one foot. However, this time Bai Yu stuck to the upper string 3 tightly. Water breathing, form 3, flowing dance. Bai Yu used flowing dance, trying to get behind upper rank 3 with his nimble movements. Upper rank 3 had already sensed Bai Yu's intention, and having temporarily lost a leg, its body's mobility was definitely affected, so upper rank 3 could only use its own fighting skills to force Bai Yu back. Pyosha Ultimate Style, Blue Eyes Random Light. Pyosha Ultimate Style, Blue Eyes Random Light. Upper rank 3's special move, by summoning the ice flower needles under his feet, with himself as the center, instantly launches hundreds of sharp ice blades in all directions. Chapter 363, The Ultimate Killing Style. Breaking the Kill Ultimate Style, Blue Eyes Afterglow. This move is somewhat similar to Bai Yu's Water Breathing, 12 form, Dark Blade Strangling, both of which are defensive counter-attack type moves. However, the damage range of Breaking the Kill Ultimate Style, Blue Eyes Afterglow, is much larger than that of Water Breathing, 12 form, Dark Blade Strangling. Water Breathing, 12 form, Dark Blade Strangling. Bai Yu immediately used Water Breathing, 12 form, Dark Blade Strangling, to put on a Water Blade Sword energy shield for himself. Although Bai Yu had the protection of the Water Blade Sword energy, Bai Yu temporarily gave up the idea of killing upper string 3. Because if he chose to continue to kill upper string 3 at this time, the risk was very high, especially when upper string 3 was protected by these ice blades. Moreover, upper string 3 only lost a leg, which did not make him lose his combat effectiveness. If he pressed too hard, it would give him a chance. After several rounds of confrontation with upper rank 3, Bai Yu knew very well that upper rank 3 was a tough opponent who was extremely good at seizing opportunities. Therefore, under normal circumstances, Bai Yu did not need to use the previous strong fighting method to choose a head-on confrontation. Under the protection of the Dark Blade Stranglehold, Bai Yu quickly pulled a certain distance from upper rank 3, but upper rank 3's break the kill ultimate style, Blue Eye's random residual light, was still being released, and many ice blades burst out from the ice flower needles under its feet. After the water blade sword energy around Bai Yu disappeared, Bai Yu could only use his body dodge and active sword attack to dissolve the ice blade shot at him. On the body of the iron train that had derailed and overturned, there were already many ice blades piercing it. Some of the ice blades were embedded in the body, and some penetrated the body and shot into the interior of the carriage. Fortunately, the passengers in the carriage had been transferred to other places by Tanjiro and Zenitsu Agatsuma, otherwise someone would definitely be injured or killed by these ice blades. Seeing Bai Yu being forced to retreat, Upper String 3 secretly breathed a sigh of relief and almost capsized in the gutter. However, Upper String 3 had a little puzzlement in his heart. Why did his regeneration and recovery ability seem to be suppressed after meeting Bai Yu? At the critical moment, he could not immediately regenerate the severed limbs. You must know that in a duel between masters like this, even a moment of delay will change the situation drastically. The situation just now is a good example. If Upper String 3 could regenerate the severed limbs immediately, the initiative would still be in its hands. Even in the face of Bai Yu's counterattack, Upper String 3 would not retreat in a hurry, but continue to give Bai Yu a color. If he did not choose tactical avoidance in that situation, but continued to confront Bai Yu head on, then Upper String 3 knew very well that his broken leg was the breakthrough point for Bai Yu to defeat him. Because in the extremely fierce battle process, Upper String 3 had no energy to regenerate his severed limbs, not to mention the situation where regeneration was suppressed. You are amazing. You actually let me use the ultimate form. Upper String 3 no longer had the calm look he had before, and when he spoke to Bai Yu, his previous chuckle was completely gone. I want to know, if your knife is coated with poison, why can't my wound regenerate and recover immediately? Upper String 3 then asked his doubts again, but he didn't think Bai Yu would give him an answer. Chapter 364, Upper Rank 1. On the other side, Inosuke chased after the Lower Moon 2 who ran into the woods, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. The 5 members of the second team, Kyujo, Shinichi, Shinji, Seiichiro and Kenta, followed closely behind them at a distance of 50 meters. Rengoku Kaijiro had already approached the 5 members of the second team, and then suddenly came in front of Hattori Kyujo, and said to them, "You kids are too reckless. You chose to chase without thinking. What if you encounter an ambush?" It was that wild boar head. He wanted to chase. I led the team to follow, because I was worried. Hattori Kyujo explained to Rengoku Kaijiro. The reason why Hattori Kyujo chose to chase was one of the reasons she said. She was indeed not confident in leaving Inosuke alone, and secondly, she did not believe that Inosuke could kill the Lower Moon 2 of the 12 Kazuki alone. Rengoku Kaijiro had no intention of asking for culpability, so he said, "That's enough. Since it's caught up with us, we can't let it live anymore." The Lower Moon 2 stopped at the edge of a lake and said, "Upper Moon Leader, I have led those little demons from the Demon Slayer Corps here." At this time, a man was standing on the reflection of the full moon on the lake. The man stood quietly on the water, and the bright moonlight in the sky shone on him. Through the moonlight, you can see that it is a man wearing a long sword on his waist, wearing a traditional kimono. The main color of the kimono is purple, with black block patterns as embellishments. The sight continues to move up. The man has long hair, and has tied up part of his hair. He has the style of a wandering swordsman. Although he has long hair, from the physique, it can be seen that he should be a man. The man is not very tall, and he is much shorter than the burly Lower Moon 2. He should be about the same height as Rengoku Kaijiro. However, judging from the way Lower String 2 addressed this man, this guy should be Upper String 1, the leader of the upper strings. After Lower String 2 finished speaking, Upper String 1 turned around with his back to Lower String 2. When Upper String 1 turned around, the most eye-catching thing was the 6 eyes on his face, which was 3 more than Erlang Shenjin. Of the 6 pupils of Upper String 1, 1 pair was in the normal position, and the other 2 pairs of eyes, 1 pair was on the forehead, and 1 pair was on both sides of the cheeks. The 2 groups of characters Upper String and 1 were engraved on the eyes in the normal position, 1 on the left, and 1 on the right. Seeing upper string 1 turn around, lower string 2 immediately lowered his head, not daring to look upper string 1 in the eye. In addition to the reason of being afraid of upper string 1, the most fundamental reason was the deep-rooted class relationship. Step back for the time being. Upper string 1 said to lower string 2 indifferently. At this moment, Inosuke crushed to the lakeside, cursing. Seeing that the lower rank 2 stopped running, Inosuke immediately shouted, "Go bastard. Run. If you run again, I'll chop off your legs." As soon as he finished speaking, Inosuke's heart suddenly tightened, and a sense of uneasiness quickly spread throughout his body. Then Inosuke saw a black shadow flash in front of him. That black shadow was the upper rank 1. The upper rank 1 was much more decisive than the upper rank 3. Without saying a word, he swung his sword and slashed at Inosuke's neck. Inosuke had no time to react at all. He could only watch the upper rank 1's demon sword approach his neck little by little. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365 arrived in time. I'm going to die. This was what Inosuke thought at the time. Then, I saw a flash of fire in the dark woods, followed by an extremely crisp metal collision sound. Breathing of flame, second form, flame rising. At the critical moment, the flame pillar Rengoku Kajiro arrived in time and blocked the fatal blow for Inosuke. However, Rengoku Kajiro's strike did not lift the demon sword of the upper rank 1 away. Instead, the two swords collided with each other, and a large number of sparks were rubbed out. The sparks flew with the violent fluctuations of the surrounding air. "Don't get out of the way, you pighead." Rengoku Kajiro struggled to resist the upper rank 1. Rengoku Kajiro knew that, if he continued to confront like this, his sword would probably slip out of his hand. After Inosuke was yelled at by Rengoku Kajiro, he reacted and quickly dodged to the side. After Inosuke dodged, Rengoku Kajiro took the initiative to retract his attack, and then used the tilt of the blade when retracting the attack, to change the attack direction of the upper rank 1. The demon sword of the upper rank 1 slid across the blade of Rengoku Kajiro's Nichiren sword, bringing up a lot of sparks again, and then chopped the ground at Rengoku Kajiro's feet. Rengoku Kajiro immediately took this opportunity to retreat to where Inosuke was. At this time, Rengoku Kajiro's face was extremely solemn, and there was a trace of horror in his eyes. "Senitsu Gaku ni Iwakatsu," Rengoku Kajiro exclaimed to the upper rank 1 in front of him. Inosuke saw Rengoku Kajiro called the name of the upper rank 1, so he asked him, "Your friend?" Rengoku Kajiro shook his head and did not want to explain to Inosuke. He just said, "I'll explain this to you later, when I have a chance. Now is not the time to talk about it." At this time, the 5 people from the second team of Zangetsu had also arrived and then stood in a row with Rengoku Kajiro and Inosuke. "You leave here quickly. Notify Bai Yu and others to retreat quickly." At this moment, Rengoku Kajiro ordered Inosuke and others to leave quickly. Because, facing the upper rank 1, Rengoku Kajiro really had no confidence in winning. Even if the odds were even in the early stages, the more he fought, the more chances he had of winning as the head of the 12 demon moons, relying on a demon body that was stronger than a human body. Because demons would not be tired at all, and as long as they were not beheaded, no matter how serious the injury was, it would not have any effect on them. On the other hand, if Rengoku Kajiro was slightly injured in the battle would be instantly defeated. So, this is why Rengoku Kajiro felt that he had little chance of winning. If the upper rank 1 could be easily defeated, it would not be the upper rank 1. Even if Rengoku Kajiro had an advantage in personnel, Inosuke and Hattori Kyujo and others were not strong enough to face the upper rank 1, and they would be killed instantly. Inosuke's experience just now was a good example. If Rengoku Kajiro had not followed and blocked the attack of the upper rank 1 in time, Inosuke would have been killed long ago, and there would be no possibility of fighting back. Why? Hattori Kyujo didn't feel the danger of the upper rank 1, so he asked in confusion. In Hattori Kyujo's opinion, since the pillars were present, there must be no danger to their lives. Chapter 366, The Former Swordsman. "This is an order. Go." Rengoku Kaijiro had no intention of explaining now, but emphasized in a very strong manner. This time, Inosuke was the first person to run away. Because Inosuke had close contact with the upper rank one, Inosuke could feel the horror of the upper rank one. So when Rengoku Kaijiro asked him and his group to evacuate here, Inosuke knew that the powerful Rengoku Kaijiro was not sure that he could beat the upper rank one. When the others saw Inosuke turned around and ran away, they were also a little confused. He was the first person to be chased, and he was the first person to run away. Is this a joke? However, the people in the second team saw that Rengoku Kaijiro had a solemn face and an anxious tone, so they didn't ask any more questions and chased after Inosuke. At this time, the upper rank one was not in a hurry to attack. Seeing that the prey that was lured away had run away, he ordered the lower rank 2 to stop them. The lower rank 2, who received the order, chased after the retreating Inosuke and his companions. Seeing this, Rengoku Kaijiro wanted to stop the lower rank 2 and buy more time for Inosuke and his companions to retreat. However, the upper rank 1 had seen through Rengoku Kaijiro's idea. After he moved for a moment, he had already arrived in front of Rengoku Kaijiro, and then he swung his sword at Rengoku Kaijiro without any hesitation. You should take care of yourself, the upper rank 1 said to him coldly. Rengoku Kaijiro immediately drew his sword to parry, and the two of them collided. Senior Tsugaku Iwakatsu. Why? As the first generation of swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps, why did you become a demon? At this moment, Rengoku Kaijiro also roared at the upper rank 1. The identity of the upper rank 1 was indeed as Rengoku Kaijiro said, that he was one of the earliest swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps who fought against demons. When he was a human, his strength was very strong. Now that he has become a demon, it goes without saying. Rengoku Kaijiro also learned about the matter of the upper moon from the historical documents of the Demon Slayer Corps. Rengoku Kaijiro did not expect that he would actually meet this historical figure this time. The upper moon did not answer Rengoku Kaijiro why, but took the opportunity to kick him out, and then said, Tsugaku Iwakatsu has become a thing of the past. Now in front of you is the leader of the 12 demon moons upper moons, Kokushibo. Kokushibo seemed to have given up his past, and reappeared as the leader of the 12 demon moons upper moons, Kokushibo. Hearing this, Rengoku Kaijiro covered his chest, calmed down the surging blood in his chest, and then questioned, Kokushibo. After becoming a demon, do you also know that you are unworthy of the name of the Tsugaku Iwakatsu? Are you afraid of bringing shame to the Tsugaku Iwakatsu? If so, why did you do this in the first place? This is Rengoku Kaijiro's question to Kokushibo with a hint of sarcasm after knowing that Tsugaku Iwakatsu changed his name. After that, Rengoku Kaijiro chuckled again and said, that's right, you are no longer worthy of the name Tsugakushi. Kokushibo was not affected by Rengoku Kaijiro's words, because he no longer cared about his past self, nor did he care about anything related to the Tsugakushi family. Moon breathing, one form, Dark Moon Night Palace. Kokushibo had no intention of continuing the conversation with Rengoku Kaijiro, and directly approached Rengoku Kaijiro again, and launched his own breathing technique against him. Chapter 367 Betrayal. Moon breathing is a variant of sun breathing. It was developed by Kokushibo after he became a demon. Sun breathing would generate sun essence, which is extremely harmful to demons. Therefore, Kokushibo had to abandon the powerful sun breathing that he used when he was a human. On a full moon night, Kokushibo, based on his previous understanding of sun breathing, explored a variant of sun breathing that was contrary to sun breathing, moon breathing. When Kokushibo was still Tsugaku Iwakatsu, as one of the earliest swordsmen to use breathing techniques, the breathing techniques developed at that time were not as diverse as they are in this era. At that time, there was only one breathing technique, which was sun breathing. Therefore, sun breathing was the most primitive breathing technique, and the 5 major breathing techniques that followed were decomposed and recreated by other talented people, based on sun breathing. This is also because sun breathing is extremely difficult to master, so there were very few Demon Slayer swordsmen who mastered sun breathing at that time. The emergence of the sun breathing technique made the Demon Slayer Corps unprecedentedly powerful. Here we have to mention another person, Tsukune Yoriichi. Tsukune Yoriichi is the founder of the sun-breathing technique, the twin brother of Kokushibo, and also a favored child of heaven. More than 400 years ago, the birth of Tsukune Yoriichi brought about earth-shaking changes to the Demon Slayer core. At that time, Tsukune Yoriichi was the most promising genius swordsman to kill Muzan Kibutsuji, but because of Tsukune Iwakatsu's betrayal, the action failed. Tsukune Iwakatsu also gave up his human identity through Muzan Kibutsuji's blood, became a demon, and became a capable general under Muzan Kibutsuji. Muzan Kibutsuji was also left with an indelible shadow by Tsukune Yoriichi in that battle, and also felt the horror of the sun breathing. If it weren't for Tsukune Iwakatsu's betrayal and joining, Muzan Kibutsuji would have died under Tsukune Yoriichi's knife at that time. After being rescued, Muzan Kibutsuji cooperated with Iwakatsu Tsugakin, who became a demon, to suppress the group of users of sun breathing. This is why there is no sun breathing swordsman in the Demon Slayer core. Yoriichi Tsugakin also disappeared after that battle. Of course, if we want to talk about it here, it is the story of Yoriichi Tsugakin. Muzan Kibutsuji also became extremely cautious and cunning. At the same time, influenced by Iwakatsu Tsugakin, he later developed the 12 Kazuki as his reliable guards. As Kokushibo launched his breathing technique, Rengoku Kajiro only saw many crescent-shaped sharp curved blades appearing in the trajectory of Kokushibo's sword swing. Flame breathing, 3 types, flame wave sword. Flame breathing, 3 types, flame wave sword. The performer swings the sword from top to bottom and sweeps forward. As the blade moves, a powerful fan-shaped flame will be swept forward. At the same time, the blade will reach a very high temperature, which will increase the power of the next slash. As Rengoku Kajiro swept his flame wave sword, the blade of Rengoku Kajiro's sunblade turned fiery red. The large fan-shaped flames that swept out directly ignited Kokushibo's entire body. Chapter 368 Fierce Fight. After being ignited by the flames, Kokushibo suddenly turned into a fireman with fire all over his body. However, these flames finally burned Kokushibo's clothes and hair, and did not pose any threat to Kokushibo. Of course, Rengoku Kajiro's purpose was not simply to burn Kokushibo with fire, but also to increase the power of his Nichiren sword to resist Kokushibo's attack. Then, with a clang, Rengoku Kajiro and Kokushibo's blades collided again, and this time the sparks were even more dazzling in the dark night. And the sparks that flew out of Rengoku Kajiro's Nichiren sword suddenly gathered together, and then gathered around Rengoku Kajiro's Nichiren sword, forming a flying fire phoenix, which circled violently and instantly shattered those crescent-shaped sharp curved blades. It can be said that in this collision, Rengoku Kajiro had a slight advantage. Kokushibo ignored the flames burning on his body. He exerted force on his arm, and the demon sword in his hand held the blade of Rengoku Kajiro's sun wheel sword. With a heavy horizontal pull, a part of the blade at the tip of Rengoku Kajiro's sword was cut off by Kokushibo. Rengoku Kajiro's figure also stepped back a few steps due to inertia. At the same time, Kokushibo's whole body shook violently, and an invisible energy wave surged out of Kokushibo's body. The surrounding air also fluctuated violently. A gust of wind blew around Kokushibo with Kokushibo as the center. Then, the flames burning on Kokushibo's body were extinguished. The collision between Rengoku Kajiro and Kokushibo was not long, only 3 or 4 seconds, so the flames did not burn Kokushibo very badly, but there were some obvious burns on the skin. The burned skin was only for a moment, and then it was restored to its original state under Kokushibo's powerful recovery. The hair that had been burned also grew back all of a sudden, but this time, Kokushibo was draped over his shoulders. Breath of the moon, landform, long night solitary moon no space. Breath of the moon, landform, long night solitary moon no space. Kokushibo made a staggered and rapid series of slashes at a certain place. While the sword energy rushed towards the opponent, it also accompanied by dense crescent blades rotating at high speed. This move is very similar to Bai Yu's water surface slashing chain slash, except that Bai Yu slashed out water blade sword energy, and the two moves are different in form. After Kokushibo extinguished the flames on his body, he immediately launched a new round of attacks on Rengoku Kajiro, and it seemed that he did not intend to give Rengoku Kajiro a chance to breathe. Rengoku Kajiro, who was forced to retreat, just stabilized his body and saw dense sword energy with countless rotating crescent blades coming towards him. Rengoku Kajiro immediately danced the sun blade in his hand slowly like Takai and drew circles in front of him rhythmically. Breathing of fire. 4 types. Flame swirl. Breathing of fire. 4 types. Flame swirl. The user of breathing of fire uses himself as the center and uses the Nichiren sword to mobilize the rhythm of fire generated by breathing, forming a dense vortex of sharp fire blades in front of him. In the end, these sharp fire blades will form a solid defense in front of him and have a certain degree of offensiveness. Then, the dense sword energy of Kokushibo hit the vortex of Rengoku Kajiro's fireblade wall. Chapter 369. Fight to the death. Even with the resistance of the fireblade wall, Rengoku Kajiro was still pushed back little by Kokushibo's sword energy. As time went on, Rengoku Kajiro felt that he could not hold on any longer. Most of the fire blades on the fireblade wall had been damaged by Kokushibo. It would not be long before the fireblade wall would disintegrate. As expected, in the next second, the fireblade wall completely disintegrated and broke into pieces. Rengoku Kajiro's body suddenly softened, and he almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, Rengoku Kajiro used the sun blade to support himself and half crouched down. Because maintaining the Shengai Uzumaki consumed too much energy for Rengoku Kajiro, and the moves were disintegrated, Rengoku Kajiro suffered a little backlash. Therefore, at this time, Rengoku Kajiro could not immediately launch other moves or dodge. Then, the dense sword energy hit Rengoku Kajiro's body, and a large number of wounds appeared on Rengoku Kajiro's body, and blood flew out. Rengoku Kajiro collapsed to the ground, blood constantly flowing from the dense wounds on his body. His white robe with flame patterns was also dyed blood red. Fortunately, Kokushibo's skill of Changai Guai Wujin had reached the critical point, and soon, Kokushibo's attack stopped. If he had hit the target at the first time, Rengoku Kajiro would have been cut to death by Kokushibo's whole set of attacks. Rengoku Kajiro quickly stopped the bleeding from the wounds with the largest amount of bleeding by breathing. Because there were too many wounds, Rengoku Kajiro could not stop the bleeding from each wound immediately. Immediately, Rengoku Kajiro also gritted his teeth and stood up with the sun blade. However, Kokushibo did not intend to give Rengoku Kajiro a chance to breathe and resist. When Rengoku Kajiro was injured, he approached him again. At the same time, the ghost sword in his hand had already stabbed towards Rengoku Kajiro's heart. Perhaps he wanted to leave Rengoku Kajiro with an intact body, so Kokushibo did not choose to behead him. Rengoku Kajiro watched Kokushibo's demon sword approaching him quickly, and he was ready to die in his heart, but Rengoku Kajiro naturally did not want to die so easily. If he could die with Kokushibo, it would definitely be the best ending. Therefore, Rengoku Kajiro was ready to fight Kokushibo to the death. Flame breathing. 5 types. Flame tiger. Flame breathing. 5 types. Flame tiger. This move is a kind of stabbing. The user of flame breathing uses the weapon to stab the target. The powerful stabbing is like a tiger biting the neck of its prey. Because Rengoku Kajiro launched his breathing move regardless of his injuries, the blood from Rengoku Kajiro's wound suddenly gushed out again. The flames surged around Rengoku Kajiro, and a huge and ferocious tiger was formed under the surge of flames. The flame tiger opened its bloody mouth and let out a deafening tiger roar. The next moment, the tip of Rengoku Kajiro's sun wheel sword and the tip of Kokushibo's demon sword collided together, and the two forces collided again, setting off a huge energy impact. Rengoku Kajiro withstood the huge energy impact, and blood gushed out of his mouth, nostrils, corners of eyes, and ear holes. Then, the huge and ferocious flame tiger bit down heavily on Kokushibo's sword holding arm. Crack. A crisp sound rang out, and Kokushibo's demon sword broke, and Rengoku Kajiro's sun wheel sword stabbed Kokushibo. Chapter 370 Saving Purgatory Kajiro. You are afraid of suppressing your powerful recovery ability as a demon. Bai Yu said to Upper String 3 calmly. I'm not that scared. I just want to know what means you have to do it. Upper String 3 replied. Bai Yu was too lazy to explain the reason to Upper String 3, so he said, just think of it as me using poison. To be honest, it's a pity that you are so powerful and don't become a demon. because as we age, humans can't always maintain the strongest state, but demons can. Upper string 3 said with some regret. During the conversation, upper string 3's broken leg slowly regenerated. Bai Yu naturally knew that the main purpose of upper string 3's bullshit was to regenerate the broken leg. The reason why Bai Yu was willing to talk to it was because Bai Yu was also secretly using the breath of wood to secretly heal his injured right arm. After the broken leg grew back, upper string 3 finally smiled again. Bai Yu also switched the demon slaying sword from his left hand to his right hand. This scene made upper string 3's smile freeze. Could it be that Bai Yu's right arm was not injured at all? If it was not injured, why did Bai Yu fight with the sword in his left hand? Seeing upper string 3's slightly surprised expression, Bai Yu said jokingly, "Don't think that only you, ghosts, can recover quickly from injuries. I can do the same." Hearing Bai Yu's words, upper string 3 was even more surprised, but he felt that Bai Yu was bluffing him. Even if what Bai Yu said was true, upper string 3 still felt that Bai Yu must have a special method, and Bai Yu's injury must not be very serious. "Oh really? Then why don't you cut off one hand and regenerate it for me to see?" Thinking about it, upper string 3 also took the opportunity to provoke Bai Yu. Bai Yu would naturally not do this. Even if a cut-off arm can be connected back through the wood essence, it must be healed by the wood essence for several days to fully recover. However, at this moment, Bai Yu heard the broadcast of the superdimensional crossing system in his mind. New mission activated. Mission: save the flame pillar Rengoku Kaijiro who is about to be killed. Reward for mission completion: obtain the flame breathing method. Final secret: obtain the flame breathing move. Penalty for mission failure: none. Countdown. 60 seconds. After the system broadcast, it helped Bai Yu open the small map prompt. On the map, a red dot kept flashing. After seeing the prompt of the system broadcast, Bai Yu's face suddenly changed. If Rengoku Kaijiro was in danger of his life, then wouldn't Inosuke and the others also be in danger of their lives? Just when upper string 3 was wondering why Bai Yu's expression suddenly became ugly, Bai Yu directly turned on the ghost god transformation, and then immediately disappeared in front of upper string 3. Upper string 3 did not expect Bai Yu to suddenly choose to retreat, and the retreat was so urgent, and his heart was even more strange. Seeing that Bai Yu was running towards the woods, did Bai Yu know the plan? Puzzled, upper rank 3 immediately chased after Shiraha. If Tanjiro was here, upper rank 3 would definitely take advantage of Shiraha's retreat to kill Tanjiro, and then go to meet up with upper rank 1. Fortunately, Tanjiro and Zenitsu had already evacuated from here with the passengers on the train during the battle between Shiraha and upper rank 3. Otherwise Shiraha would really be in a dilemma. If Tanjiro and Zenitsu were here, as soon as Shiraha left, upper rank 3 could take the opportunity to deal with Tanjiro and Zenitsu. If Shiraha didn't leave, Rengoku Kaijiro would be in danger. Even if Tanjiro and Zenitsu were asked to go together, the speed of the two would definitely not be able to keep up with Shiraha. In this way, without Shiraha's restraint, it would be difficult for Tanjiro and Zenitsu to escape the pursuit of upper rank 3, but as long as they were restrained, they would definitely lose the opportunity to rescue Rengoku Kaijiro. Chapter 371: A Fatal Attack. After Kokushibo's demon sword was shattered by Rengoku Kaijiro's stab went towards Kokushibo's arm, but this could not kill Kokushibo, so Rengoku Kaijiro could only deviate the direction of the stab and try to stab Kokushibo's neck. However, under the strong inertia, it is extremely difficult to forcibly change the attack direction of the move, especially such a powerful and directional stab. But the direction of the stab still deviated from a slight angle. Although it did not stab the neck, it stabbed the area of the shoulder blade below the neck. Then, Kokushibo's upper body clothes were instantly burned to ashes by the high temperature, and then his strong upper body was exposed. Although Kokushibo's figure is tall and sturdy, he has strong muscles like Inosuke, and the part where Kokushibo was stabbed by the Nichiren sword was already carbonized by the high temperature. If this blow was stabbed on Kokushibo's neck, it might be able to kill Kokushibo. Of course, this is just enough, and Kokushibo will definitely not let his neck be attacked. Even if Rengoku Kaijiro attacks, it may not be possible to pierce Kokushibo's neck. So if it doesn't happen, no one can predict the final result. Breathing of the Moon, 5 types, Moon Soul Disaster. Breathing of the Moon, 5 types, Moon Soul Disaster. This move is Kokushibo's defensive counter-attack skill, which can be released without drawing the sword. By spinning itself, a huge vortex wind blade is generated around the body, cutting and flying enemies around it. At the same time, the huge vortex wind blade generated will also have a high-speed rotating crescent blade. Kokushibo's Moon Soul Disaster is also very similar to Bai Yu's Dark Blade Strangle. Both of them generate air blade protection around the body, but Bai Yu's Dark Blade Strangle needs to be released through a knife-shaped weapon, while Kokushibo only needs to rotate itself quickly. Another difference is the range of the two. The judgment range of the vortex wind blade generated by Kokushibo around the body is very wide. With itself as the center, the distance of 10 meters is the judgment range of the wind blade. However, Bai Yu's Dark Blade Strangling does not have such a wide judgment range. The water blade sword energy generated by the Dark Blade Strangling can only form a layer of protection near itself, so the active offensiveness is not as strong as Kokushibo's Moon Soul Disaster. Only when the opponent actively touches the water blade sword energy generated by the Dark Blade Strangling, the water blade sword energy can attack the target. Therefore, the Dark Blade Strangling is more used to defend against attacks with a strong range, such as the upper rank 3s, Breaking Kill Ultimate Style, Blue Eyes Random Residual Light, or it can also be used to deal with the huge vortex wind blade created by Kokushibo's Moon Breathing, 5 types, Moon Soul Disaster. As soon as Kokushibo twisted his body, the carbonized part of his shoulder blade broke, and Kokushibo's right arm was separated from his body and fell to the ground. At this time, Rengoku Kyojiro no longer had the energy to attack or dodge. Then a huge vortex wind blade flew towards Rengoku Kyojiro, cut his arm, and knocked him back and flew out. As Kokushibo continued to spin, more wind blades spread rapidly in all directions. Rengoku Kyojiro was cut by these wind blades and the large number of high-speed rotating crescent blades on the wind blades, leaving bloody wounds in midair. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372 Severed Hands and Feet. These wind blades and crescent blades were extremely sharp. When Rengoku Kyojiro flew backwards, one of his hands and one of his feet were cut off. The process was really cruel. However, Rengoku Kyojiro was also very lucky. Those blades did not cut off his head or cut off his torso. If these parts were cut, even if the great Luo Immortal came, he would not be able to save Rengoku Kyojiro. In the end, Rengoku Kyojiro fell to the ground, dying. Even if Rengoku Kyojiro's hands and feet were not cut off by Kokushibo's Moon Soul Disaster, Rengoku Kyojiro would still have no possibility of action. Because the attack of the Flame Tiger just now was a blow that Rengoku Kyojiro made with his life burning. Although the effect was very good, it also became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Rengoku Kyojiro lay on the ground, blood kept coming out of the corners of his mouth. He could feel that his life was passing away quickly. Even if Kokushibo did not make up for it, Rengoku Kyojiro would not be able to hold on for long. Looking at the full moon hanging high in the sky, Rengoku Kyojiro did not feel any pain, but felt warm. The warmth was actually caused by the blood flowing from Rengoku Kyojiro's wound. Kokushibo's Moon Soul Disaster was soon released, and it stood still again, with an upright figure, not looking like it had experienced a fierce battle at all. The only thing that could show the fierceness of the battle was its carbonized and torn off arm. But the broken arm injury did not have any effect on Kokushibo, thanks to the powerful recovery and healing ability of the ghost. As long as it was not a fatal blow to beheaded by the Sun Wheel Sword, even if it was torn into pieces, it could still be restored to its original state. This is the ghost, an ability that humans cannot match. Kokushibo was not in a hurry to finish off Rengoku Kyojiro at this time, because it could also feel that Rengoku Kyojiro's life was passing away quickly. Now he had no possibility of standing up and fighting again. Even if he did not finish off, Rengoku Kyojiro's death was inevitable. I saw Kokushibo standing still, and his left arm suddenly turned into a sharp blade. Then I saw Kokushibo raised his hand to cut off the carbonized tissue of his broken arm, and then the fresh wound quickly regenerated a brand new arm. Because the carbonized tissue is difficult to recover, Kokushibo chose to directly discard the carbonized part and then regenerate the lost arm. Kokushibo, who had recovered as before, dragged his left hand that had turned into a blade and slowly walked towards Rengoku Kaijiro, who was lying on the ground, as if he was ready to give Rengoku Kaijiro the final blow. After a while, Kokushibo walked in front of Rengoku Kaijiro and said, "Since you don't want to leave a whole body, then I'll chop off your head." After that, Kokushibo swung the knife towards Rengoku Kaijiro's neck. At this time, Rengoku Kaijiro no longer had the strength to speak and could only watch Kokushibo swing the blade and chop it down. At this critical moment, a black shadow appeared in front of Kokushibo, and then the shadow suddenly turned into a physical existence. A monster with a weird appearance and long dark purple hair appeared in front of Kokushibo. At the same time, the dark purple longsword in his hand chopped on Kokushibo's arm that had turned into a blade. Chapter 373 Strong Rescue. The monster that suddenly appeared was Bai Yu, who had transformed into a demon. Bai Yu's appearance at this moment was much more terrifying than Kokushibo's face with 6 eyes. Bai Yu looked like a creature from hell, with a dark purple aura emanating from his body. The reason why Bai Yu arrived so timely was that he used the skill of Shadow Clone obtained from the lower string demon to exchange positions with the shadow within a range of 100 meters. Rengoku Kaijiro did not recognize Bai Yu at the first time, and the aura that Bai Yu exuded at this moment was not the normal aura, but the aura of a demon, so this was also the reason that interfered with Rengoku Kaijiro's judgment. If he had not recognized Bai Yu's clothes, Rengoku Kaijiro would not have connected the person in front of him with Bai Yu. Bai Yu. Rengoku's throat moved, and he made an indistinguishable sound. Kokushibo stared at the humanoid monster in front of him, who was taller than him, and a bit more terrifying, and was very confused. "Who are you?" The reason for asking this was that Kokushibo felt neither the breath of a human nor the breath of a demon on Bai Yu, who was transformed into a demon, so Kokushibo felt that Bai Yu was an existence outside of the two. "The one who wants to kill you." Bai Yu replied coldly, and then he suddenly exerted force with his arm and pressed down with his demon-slaying sword. Kokushibo's strength was not as good as Bai Yu, who was transformed into a demon, and his body began to slide backwards. Kokushibo's expression suddenly became solemn, as if he was surprised to suddenly encounter an opponent stronger than himself. Over the years, Kokushibo has killed many of the pillars that are regarded as the most powerful existences of the Demon Slayer Corps, so Kokushibo has never taken the Demon Slayer Corps seriously. It is such a powerful existence. This time when facing Bai Yu, the indifferent expression on his face unexpectedly became solemn. Even in the battle with the flame pillar Rengoku Kaijiro, Kokushibo did not show such a solemn expression. He was very indifferent throughout the whole process, as if dealing with a pillar in his eyes was as simple as eating. Kokushibo also temporarily chose to retreat under Bai Yu's strength. As soon as the blades of Kokushibo and Bai Yu were withdrawn, Bai Yu's demon-slaying sword fell on the ground. The spreading demonic black energy on the blade turned into a pitch-black blade, which cut a very deep cut in the ground. After forcing Kokushibo back, Bai Yu stood still and turned around to look at Rengoku Kaijiro. When Bai Yu turned to Rengoku Kaijiro's expression was shocked. When he saw that the person who turned around was a terrifying monster, Rengoku Kaijiro could hardly compare him with Bai Yu, who looked very delicate and elegant. Bai Yu's appearance after being transformed into a demon was not ugly, but just terrifying and hideous. Rengoku Kaijiro wanted to ask who you are, but in his current state, he couldn't even speak. Seeing Rengoku Kaijiro's shocked expression, Bai Yu was not surprised at all, but felt it was normal. He would never recognize that he was Bai Yu in this state. However, feeling the rapid elapse of Rengoku Kaijiro's life, Bai Yu knew that Rengoku Kaijiro would not be able to hold on for much longer. Even if he took Rengoku Kaijiro away now, Kokushibo and the upper three would definitely chase him. Chapter 374 Reversing Time. Rengoku Kaijiro's current state is obviously not enough for Bai Yu to take him to get rid of Kokushibo and upper rank 3. If Rengoku Kaijiro's injuries are not so serious, then tactical retreat is indeed a very wise choice. Then there was a commotion in the woods behind Bai Yu, and upper rank 3 also appeared by the lake and stood next to Kokushibo. After seeing the changes in Bai Yu, upper rank 3 was also shocked and thought that he had chased the wrong person. If Bai Yu's clothes had not changed, upper rank 3 would really think that he had lost Bai Yu. But Bai Yu actually became like this, which surprised upper rank 3, and he couldn't help but think that Bai Yu might be a monster in human appearance. When Kokushibo saw the third upper rank coming towards him, he asked him, "Akaza, have you dealt with it over there?" The third upper rank named Akaza shook his head, pointed at the demonized Bai Yu and said, "The monster in front of us is the white-haired kid who killed those lower ranks." Hearing this, Kokushibo finally understood, so he asked, "Then why did you let him come to me? Even if he has the strength of a pillar, can't you deal with one?" Akaza didn't show much fear of Kokushibo, but said lightly, "This kid is very weird, you should have realized this. I saw that you were also forced to retreat by him." The appearance of the third upper rank, Akaza, did make Bai Yu feel a little more difficult. Although he had activated the deity transformation, he was now facing 2 powerful upper ranks. From the fact that Kokushibo was able to withstand his attack just now, it was enough to show that the seal level Devourer could no longer cause much crushing to the upper rank demon and could barely achieve a 60-40 split. So one of Kokushibo and Akaza could choose to contain Bai Yu first, and then let the other one finish off Rengoku Kaijiro, and after killing Rengoku Kaijiro, they could work together to deal with him. This was a result that Bai Yu had speculated in his mind. If Kokushibo and Akaza chose to do this, Bai Yu would certainly feel very uncomfortable. After all, protecting Rengoku Kaijiro was his mission. Thinking of this, Bai Yu quickly took out the time reversal item from the previous mission reward from the space column of the superdimensional crossing system. Bai Yu wanted to use this time reversing hourglass to reverse the time when Rengoku Kaijiro was not so seriously injured. Because he was not affected by the time reversal, Bai Yu could always stay by Rengoku Kaijiro's side. However, this time reversing hourglass cannot reverse the time of the entire world, but can only reverse the time within a radius of 1000 meters. After taking out the hourglass, Bai Yu pressed a button on the time hourglass, and then the time around him stopped instantly. Then Bai Yu turned the hourglass over, and as a sand of time in the hourglass flowed toward the other end of the hourglass, time began to flow back. Affected by the time reversal, Rengoku Kaijiro, Kokushibo, and Akaza also reversed their previous actions. Looking at the changes in Bai Yu, he couldn't help but sigh at the power of this prop. It was really fucking amazing. Rengoku Kaijiro can be regarded as the first person to truly change his fate against the will of heaven. Time quickly went back to the moment when Kokushibo used moon breathing, line type, long night solitary moon infinity to break Rengoku Kaijiro's flame breathing, 4 type, great flame Uzumaki defense. Chapter 375 Time Barrier. At the time when Bai Yu returned, Akaza had already left the range of the time return. Suddenly Akaza was no longer affected by the time return. At the same time, Akaza's memory node also returned to the moment when he got rid of the time return. As for what happened just now, Akaza was completely unaware. He only knew that he was chasing Bai Yu at this time, but Bai Yu suddenly disappeared inexplicably, and there was no trace of his breath, as if he had disappeared from the world. Akaza thought that Bai Yu was hiding his breath, so he planned to continue chasing, but when he moved, he seemed to be blown away by some huge energy. It was the time barrier that shook Akaza away, because although Akaza had retreated to the outside of the influence range of the time hourglass, Bai Yu's time hourglass was still running, so at this time there would be an area covered by the time barrier. As long as the time hourglass is still running, the time barrier will always exist, and other lives outside the barrier will not be able to enter it. Akaza hit the tree hard and felt dizzy. This dizziness was caused by the influence of time energy. If Akaza forcibly tore open the time barrier, the backlash would be even more serious, and Akaza would be directly wiped out by the time turbulence. However, a creature of Akaza's level could not tear open the time barrier at all, even if Muse and Kibutsuji came. Akaza touched his head and became more confused, so he stretched out his hand and slowly groped over, and then he touched an invisible barrier more than 10 meters away. Not long after Akaza put his hand on it, the power vibration of the time barrier was transmitted through Akaza's hand again, but this time the vibration was much weaker, and the vibration only shook Akaza's hands away from the barrier, as if it was unwilling to let Akaza touch it. The appearance of the time barrier made Akaza extremely puzzled. This was the first time that Akaza encountered such a supernatural power. Could it be something made by Bai Yu? Is it to delay the pursuit? Akaza couldn't help but associate the time barrier with Bai Yu. Thinking about it, Akaza also felt that it made a lot of sense. After all, Bai Yu was too unusual to be viewed with common sense. So, Akaza took a fighting stance, ready to attack the time barrier, intending to break the time barrier. But Akaza's choice and behavior were extremely stupid, because the more fierce the attack on the time barrier, the rebound damage of the time barrier would be returned exponentially. Although Akaza thought it was Bai Yu who made it, to be precise, this time barrier was the barrier that would be produced after the time hourglass was activated. Destroy and destroy. The next moment, Akaza threw a punch with extremely powerful force, and the air around him immediately exploded, and a huge hurricane rolled up. Then Akaza's fist hit the time barrier heavily. Then, the invisible time barrier was seen to be twisted, and then a more powerful reaction passed through Akaza's fist, and returned to Akaza. After receiving this powerful reaction force, Akaza's arm instantly turned into ashes, and half of his chest was also affected, and turned into ashes instantly. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.